Previously in X-Men, the nightmare of genocide is the reality for Catherine Pryde, a woman in her mid-40s and one of the last surviving X-Men in 2013. In a last effort to save all of humanity from the tyrannical, murderous robots known as the Sentinels, Pryde's consciousness is sent back into her younger self in 1980 to stop an assassination and prevent her reality from ever existing. Tonight, we read issue 142 of Uncanny X-Men in episode 51 of our never-ending look back at the comics that made this series a classic. I am Jason Lapidus.
Hey, I'm Chris Sanagan.
And we are a group of 7 comics, and this is our YouTube channel where we're focusing for the last entire year, 52 weeks, 1 week off. That makes this episode 51. So this is really our 1 year anniversary. But we're focusing on reading classic X-Men comics, primarily the run of Chris Claremont, starting with Giant Size X-Men #1 and moving all the way right now to issue 142, which is the near climax of the Claremont, Byrne, and Austin run of X-Men. Truly classic, monumental issues. And today we are very lucky to be joined by 2 special guests who were here last week, of course, for part 1 of Days of Future Past. We've got Jason Lowe and Days of Future Past himself, member of the Hellfire Club as a goon, David Cutler. How are you guys doing?
Very good. How are you?
Very excited.
Thank you. So, Jason, I saw you've got your copy there.
Yep, it's my copy that I bought with my allowance money when I was 12 years old. I went to a Hairy Tarantula, and yeah, it was like it was the most musty, smoky comic shop I've ever walked into. And yeah, I haven't cracked this open out of the bag and board for over a decade, and once I took it out, I immediately had to dump it because it carries the same essence, but it has aged of that old musty smell. So I'm gonna give it a new bag and board after our read through. I haven't even read this for a long while.
Me too. It's been easily 30 years since I've opened this one up. It's been so long since I've looked at it that I didn't even realize until maybe yesterday or the day before that this cover is not a John Byrne cover. It's Terry Austin.
Oh yeah,
get out of town.
And and the previous issue, of course, the famous one with all the wanted and dead X-Men on the poster, that is maybe one of Byrne's best of all time. I know there's a version of it right there on my door that Art Adams has recreated and then expanded. The Sentinels are above it. It's hard to see back there, but it's there.
I see that spotlight.
Yeah. That's framed. Yeah. He does the extension, so he frames it with the Sentinels are coming over the wall. This cover is in Austin, as is the next issue, 143. My guess, and we've got comic book artists in the house here. My guess is that Byrne already is creatively and time-wise starting to put a foot in the Fantastic Four world, and he doesn't have the extra day that it would take to do another cover, or 2 days, or however long it took him to pencil those covers. So Austin is taking on the last 2 issues of the Byrne Austin contribution to X-Men. I don't know if you guys would concur with that. It's pure speculation. I'm just saying he's got 1 foot out the door already, is my thinking.
Do you think that's why in the first part 1, which of course I read for the first time yesterday, part 1 and part 2, do you think the Fantastic Four piece, because this actually stuck out to me. You look at the graves. There's a Ben Grimm grave, and then of course Franklin Richards, right, is a character in the book. So do you think that's the what I mean? He's already on his way out to FF, and so those characters get put in some degree.
I didn't think about the Franklin piece, but now that you mention it, it is kind of neat that he singles out of in the future of the world.
Yeah. And
that's a character that he.
And then in this issue, they go to we'll talk about it, but they go to the Baxter Building, right? So
sure.
Was this written in the same Marvel way where Claremont would probably give a basic plot, and then John Byrne would go another.
I think even more so because Byrne at this point was really pushing his own Byrne-ish agenda. So even more than like the penciler would usually have a lot more control in the Marvel method. Like Byrne was like half steering the ship, much to Claremont's chagrin at this point.
And to the benefit of all of us who got, a lot of great comics. But yeah, like we've said, Byrne has one hand on the wheel for a long time, maybe about a year of this, where he's putting ideas in. And Claremont, I'm just trying to think how it would function in a somewhat functional dynamic before burning out, which would be like Claremont lets the guy, like, doesn't get precious and says, let's just make the best book we can. And Byrne is just like more and more, to the point where, Byrne made fan fiction for the last decade of X-Men. Like, he's like, that was all wrong. I'm going to show you guys. Like, his ego is really front and center. So yeah, I think David, I sit in that camp too, where I think Byrne is really involved in the plot, even at this stage. And then Claremont is going and writing the script based on, I think, their conversations on the phone for plot and moving from there. So the inclusion of the Baxter building and Franklin Richards, I think that's an interesting insight into like that he's thinking a little bit more about the Marvel universe. We know these guys did Marvel team up together, so Spider-Man is part of their shared universe, Claremont and Byrne. But FF is like the thing that Byrne initially pitched to Marvel for him to work on before he was even working at Marvel at all. He came in with like some finished penciled art of Fantastic Four and like showed it around at a Marvel party. And they're like, who is this guy? It's,
Is that Jason and Dave's? Is that how it works? Do you just go to a party and show some work to them? They're like, I love this. I love it.
Like maybe like 10 years ago, I think it was about maybe 11 years ago. We were doing Fan Expo, not Jason and I, me and some other then trying to be artists. And because we were friends essentially with two of the big local artists, we kind of like wormed our way into going to the then huge CB Cebulski Chesterfest after show parties. And so at the time, it really felt like, oh man, we've arrived. Like everyone was there. Like it was just such a big deal to be there. But then like in the coming days and weeks and cons afterwards, we're like, I don't think he was happy we were there. He was annoyed just by our presence. Like if we were like flashing pages, we probably would have got kicked out.
Chris, does that sound familiar?
Sounds super familiar. Especially the part where the people didn't really want us to be there. That's the kicker.
Yeah, that's very funny. I'm glad to hear that story. Just a quick say for a quick hello to Trevor. How you doing, man? A whole Trevor. Good full show today. It's a very exciting. Anthony, man, how you doing? Hope you're well. And I do not know the Full House theme song, given that I would have aged out before that thing was popular. And it's okay.
I always want to sing
can you sing it, Lo? I think you're about to sing it.
What I always want to sing the newsman, the paper boy,
the evening TV. Everywhere
you go, everywhere.
Beautiful.
All the shots of San Francisco, right? Yeah.
I can see a new spin-off of our show where you guys just sing. Either just sing theme songs to shows together, or it's just a Full House live stream.
Well,
either way.
Marvel sidebar. That's what I super loved about WandaVision when they did the different theme songs to the eras, and then the one in the 80s. And that was like, it was like dead on, like Facts of Life, Family Ties, Growing Pains, dead on, like theme song. It was great.
All those beats.
And then the Malcolm in the Middle one was like.
Oh, that was awesome.
Oh, that was really awesome.
Well that was awesome.
David, do you mind talking just for a minute about what you're working on right now and want to promote anything that's coming our way?
I'm not working on anything right now. I'm between things, let's say. I wrapped up Ghost Rider on my few page fill in on Ghost Rider 10 on Thursday, and since then I've been adrift in the sea. I don't know. stuff is coming out, but it hasn't been announced yet. So,
But it's okay if there's a gap. But it's cool to get to do Ghost Rider. Do you have a favorite Ghost Rider that you would have loved to have gotten? Like, is there a version that is your sweet spot for Ghost Rider, or was it all new?
No. When I was a kid, there was a show on PBS called Ghost Writer.
Oh, sure.
Which
Ghost
was like
Rider,
this little colorful ball alien
Word.
who would help little kids solve mysteries, word-related mysteries.
Yeah.
And anyway, my mom was like buying us Ghost Rider comics, just thinking it was
So-
Ghost Rider. I don't know how nothing on the cover occurred to just she saw Ghost Rider and thought she was getting Ghost Rider.
Our
And
mom's
one day
awesome.
she was like looking
Moms are awesome.
through an issue where Lilith, the mother of demons, is like pregnant and she's like laboring through the snow, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not going to make it, but you have to release the demons." So the guy that she's with, I think it's Blackout, the vampire, slashes open her stomach, and then all these this big Care Bear stare of demons come flying out of her.
Jeez.
And we lost our Ghost Rider comics after
Oh,
that.
man,
But-
man.
Moms are the best. Especially when they do that, they're like, "Well, it's connected. I'll get them because they like it." So again, quick story: 11-year-old birthday party, 12-year-old birthday party, sleepover. My friends come over, big, grade 6, hanging out, drinking pop till 3 in the morning and sleeping. My mom goes to Blockbuster Video. She's like, "All right, you get to watch whatever movie you want. Here are 2 choices. This is 1992. 2 choices for 12-year-olds. Ricochet with Denzel Washington and John Lithgow, which has a very violent prison scene, and The Last Boy Scout with oh god,
Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis.
and Bruce Willis. Yeah, again, guy running down, just I'm it was a classic mom moment. He's like, "I got you these 2 videos, boys, to watch." We're like,
This one's about Boy Scouts.
yeah. It's like, "Mom, you're the best." Rated R. I don't even know what she was thinking, but mom's the best.
The closest mom story I have to that is because I would get after school, I'll get a Kinder Surprise egg or some trading cards, like Garbage Pail Kids or whatever. But there was this one set of trading cards and I think it was, I don't know the exact name, but it had dinosaurs in it. I think it was Dinosaurs Attack.
Oh, was it super gory? Were they
Very
super
gory. And
Yeah.
I was 6 years old, so I opened a pack, and here's one card of this guy who has leeches all over his face. Another one of this close up of this other guy, he's melting in a pit of fire, and the caption says, Lilith, I love you, please help me, or something like that. And the thing is it's a lot of people just getting murdered, and it's where's the dinosaurs? Where are they?
I've never heard of these.
There's a Triceratops that impaled some other humans, but yeah, it was really dark and grim, and I was 6, and I was traumatized.
Yeah,
I was really traumatized as a 6-year-old.
It's called Dinosaurs Attack.
Maybe
It's called Dinosaurs Attack.
type in dinosaurs and trading cards.
Yeah,
1980.
police precinct assaulted, London in flames, homeroom horror. A Tyrannosaurus has burst through the walls, and it's the
That
teacher.
sounds familiar.
There you
Yeah, exactly. That was it.
Homeroom horror. Check what my
That's
mom
awful.
bought me.
I would love to contribute my story to this, but it's not appropriate for the internet. So
Oh,
Wow,
Jesus.
that's saying a
Yeah.
lot.
yeah.
The standards of the internet.
My dad wanted, I guess, to steer my preferences in a particular direction.
Wow.
We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at
Is it
that.
like
We'll talk-
the scene in The Simpsons where Homer parks Bart in front of the cigarette billboard?
basically
Okay.
like that, but not about cigarettes.
Oh yeah, but wasn't that? It wasn't either. It was the episode where he was worried that Bart was gay. So
Right.
it's like a pillow fight thing. Right.
I don't.
But then afterwards,
I can't
it's
say that-
all he successfully wanted encouraged
Yeah.
Bart to do was smoke.
Right.
How do you feel? I kind of want a cigarette. That's great. What's your brand? Anything Slims.
That's good. So, in light of all that, Here we go. We got to switch back to X-Men somehow. There's no good segue for this. I'm going to bring the issue in, and I'm going to ask Chris if there's a way to full screen that.
I can do this here.
Thank you so much.
Go. Problem.
That is beautiful. Oh, look at you. You're a real prince. Like I was saying before, this cover is not a John Byrne cover. It is a Terry Austin. And, we didn't mention it before, but you can see that Banshee is no longer part of the corner box faces, and neither is Cyclops, right? We now have Kitty Pryde on there, which is awesome to see, and we've got Angel. And I found it really interesting that Angel joins the team a couple issues ago, but there's really no cue that was going to even happen. You know what I mean?
No reason.
Byrne must have wanted to draw him. Is all I
guess. They had him on for the climax of the Dark Phoenix saga,
right?
But it wasn't anything where it made sense to have Angel there. Like, I don't know. It always seems a little awkward. What's that?
I mean, he's not like doing anything besides being a billionaire, so might as well just fight along with his friends for mutant rights, right?
But I wonder if, because of we've seen Beast show up in a previous issues, and Cyclops is rotated out formally. Marvel Girls is Iceman. Who knows? We have heard from him at all.
Well, he's with
cool to see him in the Phoenix saga. But maybe Angel just I don't know. They've been rotating some of these original characters in. They're like, oh yeah, let's just give. And to your point, Dave, the wanting to draw him 2 minutes. Just give him a shot. Throw Angel in there. He's got a lot of money. We haven't done a flyer in a long time.
When we take a look at the first page in just a moment, he really does add to the silhouette of the team.
He does,
which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just to stick with the cover for a moment, I can imagine how anyone seeing this on the newsstand would have lost their mind at just the idea of Wolverine being eviscerated by this blasphemous sentinel. His healing factor has not yet in the series been revealed to be as potent as it is later into the late 80s and into the 90s and beyond, where he survives a nuclear blast and regenerates, or exists in space and regenerates, and all the things that he's had to go through. This is still the version where I think the reader felt that his mortality was part of the narrative and was at stake at any point in time. So seeing him getting, blasted like this was pretty awesome. And Storm is impaled. I'm not even mentioning that.
Yeah, I was always confused by the figure of that drawing.
Oh, is that what's happening?
That stick there, then her arm is drawn in the same way, where it's just stiff.
Yeah,
as if she was a marionette or something.
I think this is where we get the fact that it's Austin. It's not a superstar cover artist. It is, a very capable, amazing inker. But as far as the composition is great too. But in terms of his rendering of figures, I don't think he's well known for having the most dynamic poses, as we're looking at an incredibly dynamic picture. But this Storm does look really weird, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If you took out that stick, it would be less confusing. I remember picking this up when I was 12, and I mean the curiosity of wait, Wolverine's gonna die in this issue, but also why is Storm she's there's just a lot of stiffness here, her legs just
she looks like a wooden Storm doll or something.
Exactly.
Both of those could be her arms.
For sure. It is odd, but really cool nonetheless. And it's one of those rare green covers. Not a lot of green.
And great title too.
Everybody dies. So just a quick, as we go in, I'm going to just flash this in front of the screen. And this is just for fun because I had to do a double take. I'm going to maximize this. This is the end of the last issue. Next, Time Out of Mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keep that in mind, everybody. Time Out of Mind, great record by Bob Dylan. And what we end up getting is you go to the first page, Chris.
Go to the first page. Is Mind Out of Time.
Is Mind Out of Time.
Ooh.
It caused me to go back and forth. I do love this kind of splash page, though, with the awkward body language in the middle, really expressive, and then the two different timelines being shown. It's great. I love it.
Well, I'm confused. Where did the title of Days of Future Past come from? Is that from the cartoon? Is that the cartoon that coined?
It's the title of the first part.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just at the
Yeah.
ending of the issue when it says what's next, they give it the wrong title, or they. I mean, it'd be really fun to think that the person doing the typeset mixed up the words, or there was some sort of editorial error. But yeah, that's just how it played out. Really cool. And I don't know about you guys. I love seeing Colossus with like the white highlights.
Yeah, old man Colossus.
The aged version. Now you say old man, but he's like he's maybe 50 something.
Yeah, it's older. They're all
Well,
older. They're all
Come on.
older.
50 ain't so old.
Old man Colossus.
Very cool though. I love it. I'm all into this. I'm happy we also don't get an OJ ad in the inside front cover. Like
Just you wait.
Yeah.
There's one coming.
I just want an issue, like I said before, with OJ and a Fat Albert reference for a cartoon with the Cosby Kids in the same issue. Just too good to be true. All right, I'm going to start us off. You guys ready?
Yes.
I just want to say
Yes.
before you start, I do love the
please.
idea that like it's 2013, and maybe you talked about it in the last episode, but like when they're creating this in 1980, it's like what can we think of it? 33 years away? Yeah, it's a super long time.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Trevor says, I'm not old. I'm 37.
Cool.
37.
Yeah, baby.
Sure. 37.
Oh, I just
sounds
noticed that Gladys Ween, the wife of
Yep.
Len Wein, colored this issue. Awesome.
Yes, she's been coloring the whole series, I think. I'm just gonna go back in
Certainly since Byrne, she's been the colorist. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. She's been the colorist at least this entire trade that I have in front of me.
Whoa.
The
And she is
essential-
for like a very long time going forward too.
Yeah.
And same
This
with
is
Tom Morzakowski. He's almost always the letter.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They both do great work. And Louise Jones, of course, is on as editor. We also know her as Louise Simonson or Wheezy. If you follow them on social media or interviews, if I met her, I would want to call her Wheezy, but of course, would never have the nerve to do that. Oh, it's from Monty Python. Oh, I'm 37. I don't remember that one from Monty Python, but I guessed you were a little older. I thought you were just being cheeky, which is cool. Cheeky's good. This is a tale of two worlds and of the child woman who sought to save them. Mind out of time. 1980, the Uncanny X-Men, Wolverine, Colossus, Storm, Angel, Sprite, and Nightcrawler face off against the newly reconstituted Brotherhood of Evil Mutants in a hearing room of the United States Senate. 2013, the remnants of that self-same team of mutant superheroes fight for their lives against the nigh irresistible might of the Sentinels in a last-ditch attempt to save their world from imminent nuclear Armageddon.
Armageddon.
I love that word.
Yeah.
And linking these two worlds, these two desperate battles, is Catherine Pride. In her hands lies the fate of mutant kind, of humanity, of the earth itself. Failure is unthinkable, yet success may well be impossible, for she seeks to change history. I love Chris Claremont. I love those intros. So good.
Just gets us in the mood. The right mood.
Totally. The stakes feel so high.
Yeah.
We need to, I guess, make a quick mention. Did you guys see that Blob Marvel Legends action figure cover art? Or that photograph?
leaked?
Yeah.
the leaks.
It's so good.
We're getting a Blob, guys.
Will it be a Build-A-Fig?
No,
It's
it's
unknown.
it's by itself.
Okay.
That's
It looked like
the
it
rumor
was-
from
Yeah,
people that leaked it anyway.
yeah.
it's,
It looks like a deluxe figure. It's gonna even be a higher price point.
Gotcha.
But it's a really good looking version. Not too.
Not disgustingly horrific.
Yeah, he
like
doesn't look
the
like a
last
horror
one.
character.
It doesn't need to be too exaggerated to an extent. Like the one
Yeah.
that's coming out, I'm looking forward to adding that to my collection.
So then, just as a quick aside, Do either of you have pyro?
I do.
No, not yet.
Right. So
I got the
are you-
rogue from that 2-pack, but not pyro.
Right. So are you going to now buy the 2-pack and try and get the pyro? Or are you going to wait for it on a retro card? Like, what are you going to
Well,
do?
that's the thing, because I might just have to wait because I don't want to get another rogue, or
Right.
I'll probably just find like another toy show and find it loose separately.
Yeah. I got to do something too. Now that, of course, Avalanche is coming and Blob is coming, I need to rethink my strategy. And I've picked up that figure when I had the chance. I would like to go back in time myself to find 2021 Jason as opposed to 2022. Okay, great. Moving on.
You're from a different timeline.
I know. I'm here to get that action figure. And we saw this this page layout from Cockrum a lot, and we've seen a little bit from Byrne, not nearly as often as it was with Cockrum, but it looks great here too.
Love
that
it.
like half double page spread sort of thing.
I
I
like
love
that.
The X-Men standing on the panel border again.
Yeah, that flat
Yeah.
plane that they're on, it's a trope of John Byrne's. And, Chris Pierce from Comic Tropes, he drops that reference. He schooled me on that. I of course, always noticed it, but never registered that it was Byrne who did it so often until I watched his episode on Byrne, a few years back. Another just quick anecdote here. Oh, no, I'm totally wrong. I was thinking about Byrne references, and I'm mixing up Senator Kelly and Guy Ritchie, but we'll get to that another time. Is Guy Ritchie in this issue at all, or no?
We will find
I didn't
out.
read ahead. I haven't read this in, well, it's actually only been like 2 years for me. But
Okay. No worries then. We'll get there. Of the original Brotherhood, only the Blob remains. Joined now by the blind precog, Destiny, who can see the future. I'm really surprised they dropped the word precog without ever explaining what, like, precognitive, never using it in its more full form, just hoping that kids can get on with the word precog. It feels like I never heard it other than here and then again in like Minority Report.
They slang it up.
So I thought it was kind of a fun one, but surprising. Okay. Pyro, master of the living flame. Note there, of course, that he cannot generate flame. That's why he wears the flamethrower backpack. And the pieces, the pipes on the side there, those wires. Avalanche, whose touch disintegrates inanimate objects. And the group's leader, the mysterious shape changer called Mystique. And whoever wants to read Mystique, please feel free.
I'll continue on with her, I guess.
Yeah, David.
Oh, please do. Please.
Senator Kelly is fond of speaking against the mutant menace. My colleagues and I are that menace incarnate, as an example of our dread power. As an object lesson to those who would oppose us, we intend to kill him. Stand aside, X-Men, or suffer the consequences. And I'm
Chris,
Angel
you want to do
too.
Angel?
No, I got Angel. He's my favorite.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Do it.
You want Kelly, Mystique? You'll have to go through us to get him.
Perfect.
This is monstrous. How dare you freaks turn the United States Senate into a battlefield? How dare you threaten me? Marshals, arrest those people.
Kelly.
Okay.
Yeah. Kelly, you're either the bravest man I ever seen or the dumbest. Either way, you're gonna die today.
That's enough out of you, fatso. You and your muty playmates have gone too far this time, and you're going to pay for it. Come along quietly. All of you, or else.
Ooh-wee, you got me shaking in my boots, cop. Chump, you're talking to the blob.
Yeah.
Oh, no power on Earth can move me if I don't want to be moved, and no force on Earth can harm me.
Anyone want to take Avalanche?
I think I'll do Pyro if that's okay.
Okay, I'll do Avalanche then.
Okay.
What does a Greek person sound like? I don't know a Greek accent.
Is he actually living, like, is he a person from Greece in his lifetime, or does he just have Greek ancestry?
I think he's from Greece.
Yeah.
I have no idea. He's Transylvanian now. You're a real terror against ordinary people, Blob. Let's hope the X-Men prove as easy to deal with.
You could, of course, take the Russell Crowe school
Add baby cakes.
of Greek accents and just do his version of Zeus, which sounded.
I'm sure that's like one of Avalanche's 2 lines in the book.
It might be. I just want to make another art comment about that top panel, that one that goes full tier across 2 pages. In a way, the X-Men are almost like animated in that they go from the most upright being at the back down to the most crouched being at the front. And I just feel like it creates the illusion of movement, with the characters as they're kind of all moving forward and down.
Oh, for sure.
Just, this is I think a subliminal or a subconscious sort of strategy to create the illusion of movement with those characters. And I have to admit, I do this a lot with the Peregrines, where they're like landing from parachuting, and the one in the furthest end of the panel is further ahead in their motion and movements in the series of events. So they almost like all 4 characters animate a series of movements. I think it's a really fun strategy to create the illusion of movement in a still framed image. Anyway, small thought. And Byrne does awesome rubble, huh? Look at that.
Yeah.
Like a tidal wave of floor. It's so cool.
I remember Avalanche from the animated series and not being too impressed with the character of Avalanche as a 12 or 13-year-old, but hey, you need some goons, right?
For sure. Beams of force hammer out from Avalanche's hands, giving the marble floor a liquid fluidity and sending it flowing toward the far end of the room like a tidal wave. Not easy to draw. That's great.
No, right. Look at all those individual pieces, right?
Yeah. And then Austin has to ink that.
It's impressive.
Oh. Sorry?
We're just waiting for the page to show that it's flipped.
Oh, did it change?
Now it did. Sometimes it doesn't go right away on our end,
okay.
even though you've done, just a connection issue or whatever.
The same as we
Nightcrawler.
saw in the last issue?
Yes. Nightcrawler reacts first, using acrobatic skills honed by a lifetime in the circus to keep his balance on the swiftly tilting floor. Then he attacks in a style uniquely his own. He teleports, and this is friggin' awesome.
That
Like, you imagine him jumping right in front of you, and then the second he gets there, he is now behind you. So good. Materializing again, right behind Avalanche.
I can punch and disappear fast. I can punch and disappear far faster than you can react. Yeah, Lovine. Even your armor won't protect you for long against this fierce assault.
Avalanche. Strike to your left. That is where Nightcrawler will appear.
Oof!
So you notice too in that Nightcrawler panel, the second one where the word bubble has 3.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's teleporting so fast. That's kind of fun.
It's great.
All right. So, Colossus, you've the power to transform yourself into some form of metal. I wonder, can that metal melt? I do not know. I do not intend to find out. This Englishman has created a hand of fire. It's grabbing me.
The hand of fire.
The hand of fire. I love it. That's a fancy flamethrower you're packing, bub. I wonder what'll happen if I punch my claws through the fuel tank and into your stinking hide. Well, do we lose the book?
I'm back.
I figure your phone died.
Hold on.
Or something.
Oh,
All right,
her faces. Oh, no.
So pixelated. Sorry. There we go.
All right. Good, man. There we go. Wolverine's retractable claws are forged of adamantium, the strongest metal known, and he has no compunction about using them.
Wolverine, don't!
Storm, have you flipped? What do you think you're doing? The X-Men's newly appointed team leader ignores Wolverine's impassioned protests as she uses her elemental powers to simultaneously create a whirlwind that yanks Wolverine. Full stop. Simultaneously create a whirlwind that yanks Wolverine away from Pyro and a torrential blast of rain to douse the flame hand around Colossus.
Fan the fire.
Nice move, Storm. With the country's growing anti-mutant sentiment, the last thing we need is Wolvie carving someone up, even if it is a villain.
Angel, find Senator Kelly. He must be protected at any cost.
Nearby, scrambling for their lives, are the X-Men's founder and mentor, Professor Charles Xavier, and his colleague in mutant research, also his one-time love, Moira McTaggart. Charles, what in the devil is happening? Sorry, anyone want to do Charles? I'm happy to do it if no one does.
Here,
Go for
I
it.
do Moira, you do Charles. How about that?
There we go.
All right, fine. So do Moira again. Then.
Charles, what the devil is happening?
There we go.
That was worth it. It's almost too fantastic to believe. Somehow, the mind and persona of adult Cape Pride from 30 years in the future has psychically exchanged places with her teenage self. The body of Sprite is inhabited by the consciousness of the woman she will one day become.
That's daft.
Moira, I telepathically scanned her mind. It is the truth.
Professor Xavier, let's get you and Dr. McTaggart out of here.
That's the first sensible suggestion I've heard all morning. Charles, if you're right, if time travel is possible, if as a result history is mutable, we'll have to redefine our concept of reality itself. We'll never be completely sure what is from one moment to the next, and that's frightening.
Perhaps.
They certainly table that one, because I don't think anybody's worldview is ever shaken too hard by this. You'll be safe here.
Oh, thank goodness.
Wait, Moira, I sense some sort of energy field around this woman. She is not what she seems. Ah!
You spotted the electronic damper field which kept you from reading my mind, Xavier. Until it was too late to do you any good. I was waiting for a page to turn, but we are on the page. That shot of nerve gas instantly paralyzed you. Now, deprived of your telepathic guidance, with only the woefully inexperienced Storm to lead them, the X-Men will be fatally crippled. You are my most dangerous foe, Xavier. I should kill you while I have the chance, but for the moment, I think you're of more use as a potential hostage. How fares our future, Destiny?
I'm going to give you a pause for a minute, Dave. Hold on, man. Take a look at that picture of Destiny walking into the panel and tell me that wasn't drawn by Frank Quietly. Look at it. You see what I'm talking about?
My lines?
Just the pose, like the style of clothing. I feel like he created his entire rendering style of tiny characters. I know he's more Mobius than this, but it looks so much like Quietly would have drawn that, especially if you give her platform boots. Like the White Queen that he does, Emma Frost, like when he's on X-Men, just the amount of skin showing the whole thing. It just reminds me so much of a little Frank. Yeah, man. It just the body language of it, it looks like so Frank Quietly to me. The little dots, like the little specks on her boot as she's striding in. And then I just want to make a joke about the voice. You really give her age in the voice. And then I'm imagining this really aged woman wearing that outfit.
Oh, she is really old, though.
I know she is. So I'm having a laugh.
She was born in like 1890 or something. She's like old.
So she's blind. So she says, like, do I look good in this? Everyone's like, yeah, you look good in it. Don't worry.
Yeah,
trust me, you look good.
Well, I love the Robin's egghead. It's a great choice.
Yeah, it is a crazy
Destiny and Mystique are whether it's now or then, like they're a couple, or they were a couple, one of the first couples in Marvel Comics. Is that correct?
Yep. Like not officially because they weren't allowed to.
Right.
Under Jim Shooter in the 80s, but that was always the subtext, and it was made very explicit, like in the last 4 or 5 years.
For sure, and people who were reading X-Men comics that were looking for that code were picking it up no problem from those two characters specifically. Yeah, it's a good point.
Destiny is like a big deal in the comics right now.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's a string puller, a mover, and a shaker. I am not sure. Beyond a certain point, the images become jumbled, difficult to read. There is a random factor present, Mystique, an anomaly that strikes to the very heart of the time stream. So long as it exists, nothing is certain. I've tried to pinpoint it without success. No matter. With or without your foreseeing help, my friend, the Brotherhood will prevail.
And speaking of Destiny's temporal anomaly,
Something's gone terribly wrong. My presence here hasn't changed a blessed thing. Have I endured and gambled so much only to fail?
Kate Pride's thoughts twist forward across the decades from her home, or to her home. A North America ruled by sentinels, giant, super sophisticated robots programmed to stamp out mutant kind. By the turn of the century, virtually every mutant, superhero, and supervillain in the United States and Canada had been either slain or imprisoned. Now the Sentinels prepared to expand their operations to the rest of the world. Other nations, however, viewed that as an act of war. To head off that world, destroying confrontation. To head off that world-destroying confrontation.
Oh, yeah.
The few surviving X-Men, joined now by Magneto, hatched a desperate plan. The seminal event that led to the Sentinels' recreation was the election eve assassination of presidential candidate Robert Kelly by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, not to be confused with the Brotherhood of Not-So-Bad Mutants. Prevent that act of terrorism, and hopefully the Sentinels would never come into being. The time switch had been made, and the X-Men, persuaded to rush to Washington to block the Brotherhood's attack. But as the battle wears on, Kate realizes bitterly that history is proving far harder to change than she anticipated. We didn't mention last issue, but Magneto taking the role of Xavier being Claremont's endgame from day one. He has been on the record as always stating that he had wanted Magneto, wanted one day Professor X to be dead, and Magneto to go through the full redemption arc of recognizing that his terrorism was wrong and taking on a role of mentor and teacher, but also going through the full grieving process and regret for all of his choices, and to be redeemed through being the leader of the school and fulfilling Xavier's dream. So this is kind of a neat foreshadowing of where Claremont always wanted the character to go, to literally take Xavier's seat, not just as the leader, but in this case he's literally in the wheelchair. So it's so on the nose, it's painful.
And, excuse me, you may have covered this again last issue, so forgive me, but the Rachel, the redhead, is that Rachel Summers?
Yes. It is not going to be the Rachel Summers that we eventually get in the X-Men, but it is the same essence of the character, just a different.
Does that character
we're just
also
talking different Earths?
What's that?
What's that? No, I was just saying it's just different Earths. It gets into the silliness of naming or numbering which Earth she's from.
Okay.
But, she's from a time stream where she is, I think, more adult than the version we get. It obviously doesn't look. She's not portrayed the way that the Romita Jr. version that we get down the road. And she's Franklin Richards. The one we get eventually, she's actually a mutant hunter. So I think we get her younger and earlier in time into X-Men. We'll see when we get there in a year or two. So
and just to think ahead, is she the character Phoenix from the Excalibur series?
100%, yes. That is Rachel Summers. So this is just a different iteration of that character, but it's the first iteration.
But that's right.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned last week, Chris, you can't put a redheaded telepath in the X-Men in the future and not have the reader think that somehow this is related to Jean Grey in some capacity.
Right.
So whatever they were intending from day one, I don't know. I should look that up. I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
I love thinking about where inspiration for characters and where they start, and then where the same creators take them, and then where the next generation of creators take them. So yeah, this is and isn't that Rachel.
Yeah,
Okay.
they wanted the readers to solve that puzzle.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of fun.
Cool.
Whoa, this ad. Love it. Crazy
Yep.
Steve Ditko. Look at that.
Bill Matlow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's all those
Steve
weird
Again,
Ditko
Steve
faces.
Ditko art. Yeah.
I was not aware that Steve was Ditko was back at Marvel in 1980.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
Huh.
It really does feel out of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big Captain Universe fan, but I do like that picture. And I do have
Captain
the
Universe is no Captain Planet.
True.
Put your
Captain
rings
All
together
Planets.
to form me.
In that future, the 4 people whom Kate Pryde loves most slowly, carefully pick their way through the ruins of Midtown Manhattan. Wolverine, Storm, and Rachel are the truest friends she could ever wish for. But Peter Rasputin, Colossus, is her beloved husband. We were talking about this too last week, Chris, like this idea that we are already treated to the idea that they're to end up together.
Right.
So
I was thinking
now
that too when I was reading this. Yeah.
Like we're going back into the series where she's probably now 14, whatever, forget the age difference, but we see her future. We know that they are like a couple that's meant to be or fated to be together. And it creates a fun tension and expectation that might not have already been there. And we'll see the first signs of it very soon. Like in the next issue, we'll see another hint of it. Fun stuff.
And then
For Kate, please.
With Storm, again, I was hoping that the panel here can help me out. But it's Aurora Monroe.
Yeah, we learned. I think we learned her name way back in that that origin issue, or there was like where they talk about her actually being born in Harlem,
Right.
and then moving to Cairo, and that's where her parents are. Because I think we learned her full name then. So she has, her more African first name, and then her very American last name.
I thought maybe it's similar with Kitty Pryde and Colossus, that she had taken the name someone of, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, right. But I was trying, like, Monroe sounds so familiar, but I couldn't place it.
Yeah, it's her family's last name.
Okay.
For Kate, the most terrible irony of their plan is that if it succeeds, the love she and Peter shared might vanish along with the Sentinels. But the risk, the potential loss, was accepted. There was simply no alternative. Hold it. Another patrol.
The Sentinels are busy tonight.
Not surprising, considering I successfully busted you out of your South Bronx concentration camp. Trashing more our fair share of Sentinels in the process. They'll be expecting us to try and make contact with my outfit, the Canadian Resistance Army.
Yeah.
I want that t-shirt.
That's the comic, just saying it now, that the 4 of us need to make.
Oh my God, yes.
What happens? The story of the Canadian Resistance Army during this time.
Yes. They won't be expecting an attack on their main headquarters, the Baxter Building. If we knock that out, we'll hamstring their operations across the entire continent. We'll have to hit hard and fast.
I will take the lead, Logan.
Okay, Roro. Good luck.
My friend, I stopped believing in luck the day I saw my parents slain before my eyes while I survived. What a bring down.
Yeah.
I know it's
a
future Storm, but come on.
Yeah.
We got to win this game.
All my life I've flown with death. I, who once swore never to kill, have killed. And if I must, I will kill again. In my own way, I've become as hard, as ruthless, as merciless as Wolverine. I've become so numb, I can't even hate myself anymore. If anything, my soul feels tired. But so long as breath remains within me, I will do what must be done.
Raw energy flows through Storm, automatically shaped and focused by her mind and her mutant metabolism, manifesting itself at last as an awesome, irresistible bolt of lightning. So cool. I just want to comment on the color palette. You know, we get all the cools of night and all those earthy tones and like the browns and greens and all that stuff just really is such a great contrast to what we're seeing in 1980 Washington. This in 2013 New York is just a really, really good storytelling difference. You know, like to change the scenery, right? Tell the reader they're somewhere different, another time of day, another mood. It does a really good job of the same thing that where a score can tell you kind of how you're supposed to feel when you're listening to or watching a movie. The score like is an indicator. Here, the color palette kind of does a very similar thing. And notice the panel borders too. They're bold.
I just feel like a very, I just feel like a very muggy New York, airy vibe from those colors.
Yeah,
that's the mood.
It's a very like John Carpenter New York too, right? Like,
right.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
Escape from New York is 1980 as well. Like it's very in that vein, or like the Warriors, like that.
Wasn't
like
it 83 or what was it, or 81?
I think 82 it was when we looked it up.
And then Warriors is like 78 or 79.
Right. But like the
Yeah.
idea of New York, and especially Manhattan, that is not like the Manhattan that say we are more familiar with now. It's like, oh no, like the Manhattan that was not cleaned up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like Manhattan
Exactly.
there was
It's also neat just in like that top panel, like where the high saturated colors are used. It's not in the foreground. It's not the characters. It's that blue in the background, and those purples on the sentinels, and then the yellows and the narrator boxes. It's neat how those choices play out. And then you save all the bright stuff for the use of her power and the sentinel head getting fried. Just really effective color choices, I think. The sentinel never knows what hits it. Kong.
Rachel, you remain here to protect Katie as best you can. I wish I knew how Katie's faring in the past. Why is it taking so long?
I don't know, Colossus. Our world may not change at all. Instead, Kate's actions could create an entirely different timeline, an alternate parallel Earth. So, the time switch could be a wasted effort. Great. Wolverine, I'm sorry, I just don't know. Storm, these doors are locked. You'll have to gimmick the locks and alarms.
There we are, Wolverine. It seems I haven't lost my touch. It was a lifetime ago when I was a street urchin in Cairo, being trained as a thief by Ahmed Al-Gibar. Those were hard days, but happy ones. Though I was happier still years later in Kenya. The urchin became the goddess, Hororo, the weather witch, who used her mutant powers to help the local villages. I wish I was there. I wish I was that child again. I might as well wish for the moon. The coast is clear, my friends.
The Baxter Building, the old HQ of the Fantastic Four, contains some of the most sophisticated electronics lash-ups on Earth. That's why the Sentinels chose it as their primary base. But it's a base with an Achilles heel. If our intelligence reports are accurate, and the housekeeping systems are still operational, this electric eye beam in my belt buckle should activate the FM's private elevator. By the way,
Canadian
every time I
resistance
pee on
force belt.
I point my belt buckle at all sorts of things, and I get the stink eye from a lot of people, but never the electric eye.
If our intelligence reports are accurate, I just need to pee on this here Who Day.
Oh,
The fact
Byrne.
it's yellow too, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
bad
Bingo.
choice.
Bingo. All aboard. Next stop, and he's Canadian, the roof. And the fight of our lives.
nervous Ororo.
A bit. My claustrophobia, confined spaces still put me on edge, and I can't help thinking that it wouldn't take much to turn this tiny box into a death trap.
Bum, bum, bum. So good. Washington, 1980.
The X-Men are losing. I want to help, but I dare not. The news reports of Kelly's assassination made no mention of precisely who killed him. It might have been any one of the Brotherhood. Like it or not, my duty lies with Like it or not, my duty lies with the Senator. My place by his side.
Look, Colossus's fist is just like in,
Yeah.
just right in the blob.
Suctioned.
It's neat. I like just always seeing these little background battles and how things are playing out.
Is the blob action figure barefoot?
No.
I don't think so. No, they're not doing this sort of first iteration or even second iteration like this one. He's got that
Yellow
the
boots?
boots, like
Yes,
the calf,
okay, yeah.
up the black boots up the calf. Or is it yellow?
Is it?
I thought it was black.
Maybe black with yellow lining on top?
Yeah.
I'm certainly justifying Xavier's faith in naming me team leader. My debut is rapidly turning into a debacle. Cyclops could do a far better job, but Cyclops is not here.
He left on a leave of absence in X-Men 138.
Thanks, Wheezy.
I did not want this position, but now that I have it, I do not intend to fail. We are hampered by the cramped space at the hearing room and by our attempts to protect the innocent bystanders trapped in here. More than anything else, we need some fighting room.
With that thought, Storm calls up a hurricane blast of wind.
So before I turned the page, one thing struck me was the Pez ad because it had both Marvel and DC characters.
Yeah, that's always fun.
And I don't think I've ever seen a DC character in the pages of what we've been through so far.
I wonder, have we not seen ads for Super Friends or anything like that, or any cartoons?
I don't think so.
I think that's the thing that's happened before. Like, even to this day, like I would see an ad for like a DC film and a Marvel comic because
Right.
if they're paying for the ad space, they can do it, right?
Sure. Yeah. It completely struck me as I was going through the pages. Like, oh wow, the Joker.
So it's worth noting that at this point, the X-Men is the #1 book at Marvel, but they haven't like permeated the wider culture yet. Like they're not in this Pez dispenser ad, and they probably won't be for another 10 years.
Yeah,
right. And just Wolverine at that, when it finally does happen. They don't really go merchandisey until the animated series. So it takes until that box.
It might be the age demographic because like it seems like X-Men would be something that the teenagers would dig, whereas like Pez, like they're trying to market for the kids, right?
Sure. It felt like X-Men also was the more grown up of the mainstream Marvel titles. Obviously Conan and that kind of thing were meant for an older reader too. And when I'm saying older, I don't mean adult. I'm just talking like in the range of 8 through 15.
I'm picturing like the older cool kids in high school read X-Men.
Yeah, if even, yeah. Maybe just even a junior high instead of the little kid that's kind of getting copies of Marvel Tales if they're lucky. Catching all the combatants by surprise and hurling most of them out of the Capitol building and onto the Great Mall. Which is like
grief, that sound! Someone's bombed the Capitol.
Yeah, and it was probably the White House that did it.
Joni, those are the X-Men. What a story! I gotta phone this into the paper.
Now, are you doing that as Stan Lee on purpose? Because I'm thinking that's Stan Lee and Joni.
Oh, you
Joni's
think?
Wife.
Well, Joni's wife.
Oh, I was thinking actually that was John Byrne, but yes, it is Stan Lee.
So that was my guess, but I think at this point maybe Stanley was already doing the glasses shtick, but he was wearing a beard at the end of the 70s, and he was, had his very full toupee on for a while. But it's the fact that he says Joni that makes me think, combined with the bearded man, and like the idea of like what a story,
what a scoop.
Yeah, I wonder if it was, how that was intended. There's no notes that I found about it. But my first thought when I read it was Stan Lee.
It'd be so weird to exist as a newspaper man in this era and in the Marvel universe. He says, I gotta phone this into the paper. Like he picks up the phone and he's like, well, there's a guy with wings and there's a guy with a demon tail.
Just take a
You
look.
gotta hold the 6 o'clock edition till I get more information.
If we could take out the speed lines and the sound effect and the context in which this Colossus drawing is there and change the context, I kind of think he's trying to perform in a very flexible act on himself. Moving on. Before the young woman's frantic question can be answered, another shockwave rocks them all. The explosion of fist against armor. You know whose fist? His own. As Colossus discovers that, where the blob is concerned, he is a far from irresistible force and a very movable object.
My God, that's a Claremontism.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
I told you, Rusky, unless I decide I want to move, no force on Earth can move me. But that ain't all I can do. I've been training myself to manipulate my mass. I've just made my body so dense, it can squash even you flat.
It may well be so, Blob, if you land on me.
He draws Blob very muscular. Like, this reminds me of Miller's Kingpin.
Right.
In that, once he's disrobed, he's strong and big like a sumo wrestler and just a huge, square mass. But other iterations of the Blob, it's like he's just fat and massive, like rippling cottage cheese fat. But here he's very, very strong looking here.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Kind of like Kingpin.
Yes.
I've been eating as hard as I can, to no effect. It is like punching a body made of porridge. Perhaps the impact is stunned by the white wolf.
Surprise, Sonny. Remember, I not only can't be moved, I can't be hurt either. Shoot, I could probably trash all you X-Men all by my lonesome.
Unnoticed by either the X-Men or the Brotherhood, an army, fast reaction, special weapons team has arrived from Fort Myers.
Major, who are the good guys and who are the bad? Who do we shoot at?
It doesn't matter, Sergeant. Trash them all. We'll sort out the details later. Concussion cannon fire.
It's like a
Weird, it won't be
transformer.
invented for another
Concussion
20
cannon
years.
transformed.
Anthony says, I was about to say that's a great whammo, but then Jason had to go and put thoughts in my head. Sorry, dude. I always thought it was just a super awkward Colossus pose. Like when you take a figure that doesn't have good articulation but does rotate at the hip, and you just rotate one of those bent legs. You get it. Like this was the closest you could get an action figure to sitting cross-legged a lot of the time. It was like that pose. I just thought it was really awkward looking. And strange also to draw him from the back this way. But anyway. The energy weapon built by Shaw Industries, a little throwback to Sebastian Shaw. Its design derived from the same principles as Iron Man's legendary repulsor rays, strikes into deadly effect.
Colossus, look out!
Zork.
That's
Not
one down.
Go
Let's
for
see
it.
if we can't persuade the others that their fighting days are over.
Tisk, tisk. A bad move, gentlemen. Using fire against one who can shape those flames into anything he chooses, then turn them against you. I trust you all have had adequate pensions. Your families will soon need them.
Sarge!
That flame monster is awesome, and he's also like stylistically like 15 years ahead of the curve. It just looks freaking great.
It does.
Fire monster, Sarge! Remember your training, soldier. The fire monster training.
The soldiers are paralyzed with fear. Even if they ran, Pyro's beastie would fry them before they got a dozen steps. I'm the better target, the more dangerous foe. Yeah, I don't know about that. I got to catch Pyro's attention. Draw his creature after me.
I've got a question about your Warren Worthington. Is he the Sausage King of Chicago?
Abe Froman.
Abe Froman.
Thank you.
The Sausage King of Chicago.
Yeah.
He's also
What's her
Sloane's
name's
dad.
Sloane.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sloane's dad. I
I
love
have a
it.
few words with you, Blycon.
I love it.
You, sir, are an asshole.
I used to watch that movie on TBS originally before I got it on video. And he goes, "Pardon my French, but you, sir, are an idiot."
Oh man, movies on TBS are a thing unto themselves. Angel's ploy works, in a way. While the fire demon reaches for the retreating angel, Pyro sees that his comrade is in trouble, and one fire monster splits into two. What's the matter, bub? If you're so invulnerable, how come you're so scared of my claws? With the speed of thought, the demon lashes out.
Only seconds to act. Even Wolverine's mutant fast healing ability can't cope with the damage that Flame Hand will do. Pyro's fire monster is huge. I'll need a considerable amount of power to counter it. And I'll have to do it on the first pass. Wolverine won't survive long enough for me to try a second.
In the blink of an eye, Storm climbs high above them all, gathering speed and strength as she goes. In another blink, she slams down through the heart of Pyro's creation, blasting it apart with a massive wedge of air that hits with the force of a battering ram. Before you go on, it's neat when Byrne uses her cape to create like that momentum. It looks like she's like not swooshing it, but like that they're almost like wings. You know what I mean? And there's like this real momentum that she's almost waving the fire away with. Yeah, it's a really neat look.
Wolverine, mein Freund, are you all right?
I'll live, elf. The fireproof, unstable molecules in my costume shielded me from most of the flames, and my fast healing ability is already dealing with the burns. I owe Storm, pal. A few more seconds and I'd have been a goner. Oh man, Crawler, this hurts.
For you to admit that, Wolverine, you must be in agony. Let me help. What the devil?
Wolverine,
Wolverine,
be fair.
beware.
That's not me. I'm me. Once the Brotherhood must be a shape changer.
Whoever you are, villain, you've been bitten off more than you can chew. I like being unique. I don't like kindly to doppelgangers.
Neither do
I
I.
don't take kindly to I don't take kindly to doppelgangers.
Neither do I.
This is crazy. Which is which? I'm still too woozy from my burns. My senses can't tell them apart.
My sweet, sweet Burns.
Sweet, sweet burns. But I figure the real Nightcrawler ought to be able to teleport out of range of my claws.
Wolverine, sheathe your claws.
Not a chance. We're in the middle of a fight, Storm, and I'm in no mood for a debate.
Sheathe them, or use them on me.
That can be arranged, babe.
Goddess, he means it. I am leader of the X-Men. While that is so, you will use your claws when I command, no other time.
I wouldn't take that from Cyclops.
You will take it from me. You possess speed, strength. Your unbreakable adamantium skeleton makes you nearly invulnerable. You should not need your claws, except in the most extreme of situations, against the most deadly and most powerful foes.
All right, Storm. I'll do it your way for now. But this conversation ain't finished. Not by a long shot. I'm going to pause there.
This is a big moment.
It is, and I like how it's also paired. Like, this is where you see Claremont's sort of skill at use of theme in an issue, where we have Storm in 2013 talking about how she now is a killer, and Storm in 1980 is obviously very much opposed to it and really reining Wolverine in. So it's a great moment for her to really also show that flex in front of Wolverine. And you see, he's like, almost respects her more than he does Cyclops, because he wouldn't take this from Cyclops, but he does take it from her.
Especially in this era, Cyclops wouldn't have went about it in the same way.
Sure.
Like she's more of a knower of people. So she like talks him up, kind of like you're the greatest, you're the best guy in the world. Everybody here's like a chump next to you. You don't need your claws. And he's like, yeah, I guess you're right. They are chumps.
It's really well done. One quick drawing note, or two quick drawing notes. That center panel where Wolverine is like breaking out of the blue box.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see that very often from this team, where they're having like just an abstract shape, or a geometric shape, I should say, in the background to create a little bit of depth, or to lay down that tone. And it helps kind of transition between the yellow, and then they're going to use the blue to show like it's a different camera angle almost. But that it's just a neat use. I haven't seen this very often in these issues. And my second little note is this is, I think, where Byrne's sense of how much dialogue doesn't match Claremont's execution. Because that middle panel at the bottom, where it's Storm talking, where she's got two balloons, there's a lot of drawing in that and not a lot of space for words. And Claremont crammed in, like, he's covering up the drawing on the top and on the bottom.
Mm.
And I mean, I don't think Byrne is planning for that. Whereas in all the other panels, he's left room at the top for her to talk, or for the characters to talk, especially the one on the left where both Wolverine and Storm speak. There's a lot of room up there. But this middle one at the bottom, it's like he wasn't expecting it like that much. But it's fine. It reads.
Yeah.
Anthony also loves this leadership moment from Storm. For sure.
It also answers the age-old question of what's the reverse of snick? It's snacked. Like, what's the sound of the claws going back in? We all knew it was snicked when they popped, but snacked is how they go back in.
Yes, that's good.
Snacks.
Snacks.
Lady, since you and your pint-sized pal would obviously much rather feud than fight, it seems only fair that I send you far away from here, where you can do it in peace. Avalanche! Grab my hand, Wolverine. I'll fly you to safety.
If you hadn't chosen such a stupid moment to get squeamish, lady, we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. What about Nightcrawler? Who's going to help him?
I want no help, Wolverine.
I intend to finish this fight on my own.
Pyro's. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Who is it?
Pyro's flame demon has given up on me. He's endangering more soldiers. I've got to airlift them out of the way. Wolverine, come with me. I need your assistance to defeat the blob.
It looks like Angel's a teeny tiny guy on his shoulder.
Yeah.
You know, like it's Wasp. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Angel.
I'm fine by me, bub. I'm in a mood to defeat someone. The bigger, the better.
The blob boasts that no power on Earth can move him. But suppose we move the Earth he stands on.
Like Archimedes said, pal. Give me a big enough lever, and I can move the world.
It's smart to beat on you again.
I speak of myself.
Smart of me to use me as the fulcrum of his lever. That I be cracked before my adamantium steel bones will.
Yow!
You got him in the air, Colossus. What are you gonna do when he comes down?
You gonna die, Rusky. That's a promise.
I intend to prove that no matter how awesome the blob thinks his power has become, Colossus will not be crushed by him, by anyone.
Blob. Oh, no.
Chrome.
Can you guys explain to me? They said they're going to move the Earth itself, but yet they don't. They just hit underneath. They like hit him in the groin.
You're just picking at straws, man. I mean,
so should this have been?
I think that's a case of Claremont wishing that's what Byrne drew.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like this doesn't track with what Blob has said. Like if you can flip him up in the air like this, then you could just lift him up.
Yeah. And it also feels like if there had been unlimited time, that maybe the first 2 panels in the bottom tier there, where they're setting Blob up and then executing, would have some kind of background. Like there's nothing there there's no ground, no rubble, no nothing. Because, obviously it took time to do it on the other panels, especially that tidal wave one, which is awesome, by the way. But it would have, if there had been some sort of Earth, they had stuck this I-beam, under 4 feet of Earth and then use the lever. It would track with what you're saying with what Claremont is writing over top. But you're right, maybe Byrne just didn't really think it through,
Also, Colossus with the awesome ass punch.
You hope it's ass.
Yeah.
It's a full taint punch.
Yep.
It's a full
It's
taint.
Colossus's patented taint pounder.
Ouch.
Not enough is made of Blob's epic thigh gap either.
All right, Storm, you're up.
Excellent, Peter. No. Excellent, Peter. That's 2 of the opposition beaten. Angel rescued those soldiers. Now to deal with Pyro. He thinks himself protected by his flame creature. He forgets that while fire burns anything, water douses fire.
She's playing her own game of paper, rock, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors, where she thinks, but flame can also turn water into steam. It goes, this game gets played both ways. It takes virtually all her strength of body and will, not merely to create this storm, but more importantly, to control it. And to do so, she warps weather patterns for miles around the District of Columbia. She creates a monsoon, confining it to a tiny section of the mall. Hit by this raw, primal, elemental force, neither the fire demon nor the man who brought it into being can stand against it for very long. 3 of the Brotherhood are down. Now a 4th joins them, perhaps. A lot of ink on that page, by the way, and good splatter and everything. It looks great.
Yeah, love that effect. How do you pronounce that?
Unglaublich.
Unglaublich. You're Mystique.
That's what it says on her t-shirt, by the way.
Mystique.
It says, Unglaublich, you're Mystique.
Your skin, your eyes. If this is indeed your true form, mein Gott, we are so alike.
Could it be, Kurt Wagner, that you are not so unique as you once thought?
You know my name. Who are you?
Ask your mother, Margali Zardos. Who would know better than she? Vamos, buddy. The army's got Blob, Avalanche, and Pyro in custody, and they're looking to add the X-Men to their collection.
Angel, no, we can't leave just yet. Oh, if we leave, we take Mystique with us. None of the things she said. I must learn the answers, the truth.
But when the German-born mutant turns to face his foe,
she's disappeared. With her shape-changing power, she can transform. She can transform herself into anyone she pleases. I'll never find her.
I underestimated the X-Men, but never again. The Brotherhood will be rebuilt, stronger than ever. And when the time is right, the X-Men will die. Oh, that's me. I'll generate... Nope, that's the wrong person. How did I do Storm? I'm getting sleepy.
it's okay. Take a second.
I'll generate a fog. I'll generate a fog to cover us while we change back to our civilian identities. We'll rendezvous at the airport, and I'll make sure the professor and Moira are unharmed.
It's neat that Anthony points out that Claremont is planting his plot seeds with Nightcrawler and Mystique. we see this every time there's another story arc. He's 10 stories ahead of the game with what he's planting. You know, he really has got that forward thought. I mean, just like I said before about Magneto in the chair and Magneto becoming the chair of the school, you know, like those things, he's really got the forward vision, the 5-year, 10-year vision. So it's really cool to have this play out already with this Mystique Nightcrawler connection. Really good.
It's too bad you revealed your identity, Wings. The feds are gonna try and crucify you for this caper.
That short stuff is why I employ the best lawyers in the country.
Storm, all of you, wait. What about Sprite? Why is she not joined us? And Destiny, the last of the Brotherhood, where is she?
Wouldn't Sprite still be protecting Senator Kelly?
Of course. Oh no!
2013. We've arrived, troops. So far, so good.
So far, Logan, we have done little good. Destroying a few Sentinels will not save the world.
That's so, Roro. But zapping this baby here ought to gum up the works something fierce. He's Omega Series, a low number, one of the executive cadre. And he's all mine. Give me a fastball special, Petey. I'll gut that sucker from his... I want to say something better than that. Head to hips. I want to say... we'll just go with head to hips. Darn it.
Summoning all his considerable strength, Colossus hurls his friend toward the seemingly unsuspecting Sentinel. Wolverine takes off like a runaway missile. But, fast though he flies, the Sentinel reacts a fraction faster.
Pathetic organic being. Are you so arrogant as to believe you could even approach, much less penetrate, our innermost sanctum undetected?
I really wish that was a page turn reveal, but I guess the pages are side by side anyway. So.
Yeah.
So good.
Not so. You are here because we allowed you to be here, the better to terminate you. Yield, X-Men, or suffer a similar fate.
Never!
That is quite the panel with the metal skeleton, though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Everyone that I knew who saw this was like the whole point of conversation. When anyone would try and like first learn about Wolverine, this was necessary reference material to show what was on the inside and how his claws were like housed in his forearm, and that you could kill him by just burning off everything. Just crazy.
I'd love to, like, when I read this again for the first time the other day, just, Jason, you brought up in the beginning about how his healing power set really not established at this point beyond a little bit. But if this was today, like, that skeleton would get up, on the next page. Don't worry, I'm back.
I love that his elbow joint is like a mechanical joint. It's not organic,
that doesn't track with what they do later on, though. But
of course, he's not like metal plated. He doesn't have like metal plating over his bones or metal coating, because I mean it doesn't even work as like an idea, just because bones are not isolated masses. They have holes where veins go in and out, and you just you have to just play and not take it too far. But it is really cool to see. With such a reveal that that he dies. It really, again, it raises the stakes for now, of course, Storm and Colossus, that this really is the end of the world for them as a group. Mm-hmm. And then because the issue has so much Wolverine and Storm in the present and in the future, it makes their dynamic as like the two kind of, I know Colossus is there, I'm just going to say like the two last survivors, like the two warriors that are going to see the whole mission through. It feels like this is 15 years ahead of its time in a way, or at least plants a seed in like the mind of the next generation of X-Men fans that Storm is that big a deal, and Wolverine is that big a deal, that when all is said and done, they're both going to be there to the end. You know, like this, I just think it leaves a lasting impression on a generation of future creators as well. Trevor says that same back and forth with Mystique happened in another Brotherhood encounter too. Which one are you talking about, man? I'm interested to hear if you have any more information there. All right, we need to hear from Sentinel Omega 5. Oh, no, the one who's referring to Sentinel Omega 5. Chris, are you the only one doing Sentinels, or is everyone doing Sentinels?
I can do Sentinels, sure. Sentinel Omega 5 has been terminated. Additional Alpha combat units respond to this location immediately. We may be Earth Sentinel, but we are not beaten. We have faced greater odds and triumphed. Terminate 1 Sentinel, terminate 1,000. It makes no difference. Our numbers are too great. Eventually, mutants, we will overwhelm you. Storm, I've doubled him. Freeze him.
With a tremendous effort, Storm surrounds the Sentinel with a fearsome blizzard, dropping its surface temperature far below zero in a matter of seconds, making its metal skin dangerously brittle. One punch from Colossus will shatter it. While she concentrates on this robot, she counts on her airborne maneuverability to protect her from its companion.
Peter!
Man, look at this. This is the... Oh, you got to go back. Sorry. I know that we're...
Oh, no.
You want to see this?
Yeah, this is the
That was
famous...
cool, lad.
The famous Frank Miller, Roger Stern and Frank Miller Doctor Strange run that never happened.
Oh.
This was supposed to happen, but he does not. And there is not information that I know of yet as to why it didn't happen. But, you know, it would have been kind of cool to see something beside Daredevil from Miller before he goes off and does Ronin. But, you know, neat. I wonder what gets in the way. Maybe one day we'll find out.
It's almost Mignola-like in the back there.
For sure.
Those characters in the back there.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Good and flat.
Yeah.
But yet it reads, right?
Totally.
Hold on. This time, she hopes in vain.
Peter!
Aurora!
Peter Rasputin was ever a gentleman, a man of peace, a man who, like the woman he holds in his arms, thought life the most precious of gifts, and love the most precious celebration of that gift. Aurora was a sister to him, the best friend he ever had, and he finds that her death is unendurable. His hands red with her blood, he screams, and moments later, when he feels himself gripped by a murderous berserker fury to rival Wolverines, he welcomes it. On the streets far below, tears stream down Rachel's face, but she makes no move to wipe them away. Instead, she holds the unconscious body of Catherine Pryde Rasputin, within which resides the mind and soul of Kitty Pryde, tighter to her breast. Someone else want to read Rachel this time?
Sure. In my mind, I felt Aurora and Logan die. I can feel Peter's rage. I want to break contact, but I can't. I don't want Peter to be alone I don't want Peter to be alone when he's dead so quickly. Funny, I've experienced death so often in the minds of others, yet I'm terrified of dying myself. If Kate's body dies here, will her mind be trapped in the past? If so, I wish her a happier life than the one she lived. We did all we could, my darling Kate. Now it's up to you.
How do you guys think Peter died?
So there's a couple of It's a couple of seasons, a couple of Sentinels. That's one he's thrown out of a building, but there's still a couple there, right? So maybe he takes all his Wolverine basically just gets melted, right? So which also seems interesting because Storm's death in terms of technology is so basic compared to melting Wolverine. It's just a stick, a pointy stick, Sentinel Dave. Sentinel Dave. Did you bring your toothpicks? I got them right here. Sentinel Bill. All right. You know.
I think it's
But
really effective just for the use of the silhouette, because they're not going to show that any of them die. Like they're not showing tissue and blood. So like, this is really, really clear as to what happens to her. In your imagination, did you ever think of what happened to Colossus?
It might be. I mean, he probably has a melting point for sure. So if they just keep concentrating their fire on him, he'll just start to sweat to the point where like he just gives up and might just turn back to flesh. From being,
I'd like to think that every sentinel in the building descended upon him. Like they just kept coming.
I could have used one more tier where it's they show the sentinels like surrounding, and it's like the punching and him punching and them punching, and you see like the building collapse, and then in the collapsed rubble, like the one hand falls down, and he's back to human and crushed. You know what I mean?
Right. I liked how they did it. Now, did you guys talk much about the movie in the last episode?
Just a tiny bit, but you want to tell us what you're thinking about?
Well, I mean, I liked how they addressed it in the movie, where they sentinels just ripped him apart.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Well, I thought it was an interesting way for him to go, because I thought it was like, you're right, like he's made of this organic steel. He kind of, weapons don't work on him. What do? Well, they tear him apart. I thought that was actually it was brutal. Don't get me wrong, but I thought it was an interesting, and of course, then they also are able, again, as I was saying, I've seen the movie before this reading, so I was like, oh, what's changed, what's different, but they Storm's death is the same. Storm gets stabbed in the movie and gets thrown off a cliff, but same thing. She's impaled. Sorry, not stabbed. She's impaled.
Sure.
Which is, again, I thought it was an interesting, what we're going to keep, what we're going to change, what works, what doesn't, and that was one that they've kept the image of her being impaled.
Sure. One of the things that always stuck with me, of course, is that, again, the final three are Colossus, at least in the fight, Colossus, Storm, and Wolverine. And the iterations of X-Men that go forward, so we're talking about the animated series. We're talking about then the movie franchise. Colossus never plays as big a role in the moving forward of X-Men as he does in my formative years of reading X-Men, and he was always just as important to me as Storm was. Like he's in that. If I have 4 characters, he's one of my 4, and I know that's brother. He is the big brother, and he's so pure of heart. For me, it is this group. It is the Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, and Nightcrawler. That's my this. If I was to boil it down to just 4 characters, so whenever they did, each of the animated series, when they don't put Colossus on the main team in favor of somebody else, it never feels right to me. But that's how it's such a generational or a cohort based team where you really have your own version. Each person gets their sweet spot as to when it's the one that makes the biggest impact on them. And he is just a definitive member for me. I love him. I'm gonna miss him. Poor torn apart Wolverine. 1980.
The blind precog Destiny has Senator Kennelly cornered, but if she can psychically scan the future, why hasn't she spotted me? Unless the time switch has made me somehow invisible to her prescient abilities. Sorry.
It's all good.
My colleagues have been defeated, yet victory will still be ours. With your death,
murdering me will accomplish nothing. True, people will fear mutants as they fear all terrorists, but they won't be cowed by that fear. They'll fight back. They'll destroy you, Destiny.
Possibly, but you are a greater threat alive. Do not try to evade my crossbow bolt, Senator. I will sense your plans at heartbeat before you even formulate them, and fire where you are going to be.
I wouldn't give you that satisfaction. Put your teeth back in, old woman.
You ever see a sandwich that could take a bite out of you?
That's right. If I got my hands on you, mutant, I'd probably break your neck. But I won't run.
Before we continue, just to remind you, Chris, of course, this was Senator Kelly, who we saw at the Hellfire Club, right?
That's right.
Back in those issues. So this is, again, another thing that Byrne put this in, Claremont, pardon me, put this in play way back. Destiny laughs softly. Let's hear that laugh. And tightens her finger on the trigger. But as Destiny fires, Kate phases wraith-like through her, calling upon her decades of training and experience to act as her child self could not.
My mind! The temporal anomaly! Part of me! Consuming me!
Senator, duck!
She wills her shoulders to become solid, bashing the other woman's arm and throwing off her aim. In that split second, an abyss opens within Kate Pride. Reality twists inside out, and suddenly she comes face to face with herself as a child, so innocent, so vulnerable, so young. Impulsively, she gives herself a kiss and lets the winds of eternity sweep her home.
Sprite, are you all right? Senator Kelly, have you been harmed?
Who are you, young woman? Who is this child?
Storm, where am I? This isn't the danger room. I feel awful.
I am Storm, leader of the X-Men.
Damn
I
right you are.
suspect this child is the person who just saved your life. Mutants, like people, are both good and bad. You would do well to remember that, Senator, before you seek to condemn us all.
Storm.
Professor, the authorities are coming. I must leave. We will rendezvous at Angel's private aircraft.
Xavier, Dr. McTavish, thank heaven you're all right.
Destiny, captured as well. Have no fear, my dear friend. Neither you nor the Brotherhood will be in prison for long. This Mystique swears.
Later, en route to the Westchester, New York mansion that serves both as Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters and the secret headquarters of the X-Men, Professor X explains all that has transpired to a dumbfounded Sprite. You remember nothing after blacking out in the danger room?
Nope. Except, well, I think I felt someone kiss me just before I woke up.
That is so weird, the kiss thing.
Yeah.
I think it's on the forehead or something.
Yeah, it's nothing inappropriate. It's just an odd choice as to what's going to happen. I mean, I guess a fist bump is weird too, or pinch of the bum is weird. So it could be a hand on a shoulder. It could be, I don't know. Just the kiss is odd. But anyway. I do not want my time-traveling soul to kiss me on its way in and out of my body. That's all I'm trying to say.
Future Jason loves kisses.
In the future, Wolverine and Rachel were debating whether or not this would change the future, create an alternate timeline, and I kind of take that to be like some sort of like instinctive, like you and I aren't the same anymore, like sort of like she's going back to where she came from.
Yeah.
But she's saying goodbye to, is off on a different journey.
Yeah, it's good in that way for sure.
Perhaps it is for the best. I think if I knew my future, I would spend my life trying to change it.
You said you mind scanned me, Professor. What did you find out about me? I mean,
that Kate Pride is as delightful and admirable a person as Kitty Pride. The rest you will discover in due course.
Professor, we saved Senator Kelly. Kitty's mind has been returned to her body. Does that mean we changed the future?
I do not know, Warren. Cliché though it sounds. Only time will tell.
I don't know, Warren. Let's ask Johnny Punk.
Daredevil versus Johnny Punk.
Johnny
Nice.
Punk. There's the person we need to bring back. If either of you do Daredevil next, just bring back Johnny Punk.
Sounds like a great idea.
That would be helpful.
Facade again.
Oh, this is really weird. In the edition I have on my essentials, this last page is not here.
Oh.
It just ends. It just ends with only time will tell. That's so disappointing.
Huh.
But I do have the original, so I've got it here. Epilogue. A month has passed, and Senator Kelly's committee has finished its hearings and submitted its report to the president. Now, on a chill December evening, both Kelly and his good friend, industrialist Sebastian Shaw, who we know from the Hellfire Club, who unknown to Kelly is both a mutant and a supervillain himself, are summoned to the White House.
What? Who wants to be the president?
Or
Can anybody do a Jimmy Carter?
Well, he's in shadow, is he not?
Yes.
So, do we know it's Carter?
It's 1980. I guess it's Reagan.
Or maybe they don't know yet because the election
Something
actually... The election... So if memory serves, it's a November election. This is like a November issue, but they would have been doing it before that. So they don't know who's going to be president yet, and he wouldn't, of course, take office until 81. But so they don't know who the president is. That's why he's in shadow.
okay.
At the time of the
Come
writing
in.
and drawing. So
Come in, Robert.
Okay.
Come in, Robert. Sebastian. I won't bore bandy words, gentlemen. I've read your report, Robert. Its recommendations are dangerous. They may be unconstitutional, even criminal. A draconian attitude for someone who owes his life to the mutant X-Men.
A life that was threatened initially, Mr. President, by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. If there were no mutants, period, my life wouldn't have been threatened at all.
There is also a national security aspect, sir. An anti-government group of superpowered beings, mutant or otherwise, or such a group in the service of a foreign enemy, would be a serious threat to our nation.
I realize that, Sebastian. For the moment, my actions, will remain top secret and covert in nature. The project is codenamed Project Wide Awake. Allow me to present the man who will lead it, Henry Peter Gyrich. He will be responsible to me. He will be responsible to me alone, and his authority in this matter will be absolute. Your first priority, Henry, will be to work with Shaw Industries to design and construct a new series of robot sentinels.
You'll have them, sir, and you have my word. This mutant controversy will be resolved. If we find them to be a threat to this republic, a threat to the world, a threat to the human race, they will be dealt with permanently.
Permanently.
And Gyrich supposedly was based on, at least Byrne's version of him is supposed to be based on Jim Shooter. Boom. Next,
Really?
Demon.
Right here.
Ooh.
When you're alone, Kitty Pryde, no one can hear you scream. Nice.
And that's the last issue coming up of the Byrne Claremont run.
It is, and it's kind of
Yes.
neat that you get this. We get the character to join the team, and then we get right away the character to. We show the reader how she's going to become, like the most realized version of herself. As we meet her in the future, and that comes back, so like we get her kind of at her peak, and then now we know that she's the real deal. And the next issue, we're going to get a chance to see her take a step toward that, right? So like we know what's coming, and now we're going to see a moment in time where she gives us a good indication that she's ready for the big leagues, which is awesome, really cool. Yeah, but it'll be the last issue for John Byrne and Terry Austin is next issue with 143 in episode 52 of Previously an X-Men.
And the end of the end of our show.
This is the 1 year anniversary episode, by the way.
Is it
Can
really?
you believe it? 1 year. This is the 52nd week.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
insane. It is insane. When we thought of doing this, I never once imagined that either you, David, or you, Jason, would stoop so low as to spend your Tuesday nights with us in any way. And I wish for you bigger and better things.
Voices.
Yes, your voices are incredible.
Start, I had a lot of joy just listening to you guys talk about X-Men as I was just working on X-Men Unlimited stuff. So, like every week, you guys have entertained me with just tales from, the prime, the golden age of Uncanny X-Men.
For sure, it's been a pleasure to do so, and who knows what the future brings, except for, of course, Armageddon and dystopic robots and the whole bit. So we get some fun stuff coming up in both the X-Men.
Enough about real life. Back to the X-Men.
Oh wait, you're not talking about the show anymore.
Yeah, I have not read beyond, as I said before, I haven't read Once Byrne Leaves, like the reintroduction of Dave Cockrum. I have not read these issues. I pick up when you get a few by Paul Smith and some Barry Windsor Smith, and then of course Ramita comes on for a good stead. That's when I pick up again. And issue 200 is like my first, and I backtrack a few, but I don't know what's coming in these issues where Sprite changes her costume and wears like every color under the sun for a bit, and we're gonna get some wild stuff. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm really hoping that we get to do a few spin-off episodes, whether we insert them into the series, because it seems like we don't really have another 2-hour slot, But I really would love to do God Loves, Man Kills.
Oh yeah,
we don't have a digital version of it, but I'm sure we can find one. But it wouldn't be the original scan, right? You can see that team, right? It's a graphic novel. So Marvel had was it monthly? I don't even know what it was. Maybe it was a few times a year. They'd put out a full graphic novel of original material that was done on better paper at a higher page rate for the people working on it. And
like
it would be these
magazine size.
Yeah. And they would number them as the Marvel graphic novel, not for the series that they are showing, but like New Mutants gets one. Of course, The Death of Captain Marvel is the first one, I believe. And they're numbered as Marvel graphic novels. So 1 would be one character, 2 would be another character, 3 were franchise, 3 would be another. And they were all pretty cool. And there's some famous ones. There's a Daredevil one.
Dazzler gets one.
Dazzler gets one. They're a real artifact of the 80s and worth tracking down for any collectors or fans and readers. But there's enough material out there for us to, again, do these sort of spin-off out of sequence. I always want to do the Wolverine Limited series. It's like a sweet spot for me. Eventually, unfortunately, the Wolverine Kitty Pryde Limited series. I'd like to do any of the annuals. There's all these little things, but I wonder if we will do an additional episode, another point in time, or if we just break the sequence and just do them in-house in the Tuesday night spot. But anyway, lots of fun things coming. That's the bottom line. And as always, David and Jason, you guys are welcome anytime. You can just hit us up. We're not precious about the voices. We're not precious about red hoodies. Anyone can wear what they want to wear, do whatever voice they want to do. And
this is Rust.
Oh, so is mine. And the more ridiculous the voices are, and the more referential they are to other pop culture phenomenon like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the more welcome they are. So, really glad you guys could hang with us for sure. Chris, any words you want to pipe in there? Want to push
a couple of things? Yeah. So, hey, if you are in the area of Mississauga, Ontario this Saturday, Jason and I are going to be at Gotham Central, store extraordinaire, with our wares for Halloween Indie Fest. Jason, Dave, I don't know what you're up to, but it'd be cool to see you guys that day if you happen to be around. Otherwise, everyone out there, if you want to see not see just us, but also a whole cast of cool indie creators with their comics on a cool Halloween special, just come on out, 11 to 6, Gotham Central.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
I've never been there, so I'm excited. I'm looking forward to
it. American candy and cereal.
That's what the Instagrams show me.
You're going to go home with some treats. Yeah, you'll go home with some treats. And if you're in the mood to spend some money, there are definitely some options for comics. Maybe we'll find some of those graphic novels.
Maybe.
Jason, anything you want to plug?
Yeah. Part 3 of X-Friends, my multiple man and strong guy adventure saga in space. It's available on Marvel Unlimited. Go check it out. I wrote, drew it, and I handpicked Antonio Fabella, who colors Cosmic Ghost Rider. I thought like he would be perfect for this, and he blew it away. Yeah, it's just fantastic. All 3 issues are now available to read on Marvel Unlimited, X-Men Unlimited, issues 56 to 58.
Wow, super cool. And David, is there any events you're going to be at in the near future? You're thinking ahead for 2023? No
events.
No, you're not gonna. You planning for Fan Expo? What are you doing?
Isn't Fan Expo like literally a year from now?
Yes, I'm trying to think way ahead.
Lord. I don't know. I have no like public events planned.
Do you enjoy those things, or do you not enjoy them, or what?
That's a good question. I do and I don't. They're very like spirit consuming.
Definitely.
But at the same time fun. But I'll never be the kind of person who does a lot of them. I know that.
I feel like I'm one of those guys that wants one every couple of weeks. I'm just trying to avoid things at home. Who knows? We'll see. Don't tell anybody that. Jason, you're showing some amazing action figures there. Now, can you put that
Gladiator
your custom your custom of Strong Guy back up?
Yeah.
I want to see. So we've got Juggernaut arms.
And
we've got the Strong Guy heads, and then we have the body from
Titus,
member of the Nova Corps.
It works.
Right. It is so much fun to put that together. Did you have to get those pieces for this custom, or did you pull them out of like your bin of stuff?
No, I had to buy each piece off eBay. Evil Bay.
Making me cry hearing that.
But this is a very simple custom. I just took a Professor Xavier the Krakoa era figure because it's all black, and then I just took his body and just took one of Jamie Madrox's heads. Used Groot's fingers for his necklace that I designed his costume for X-Friends.
That's great. So Groot's finger, you heated it to get it into the right shape, or what did you do?
No, all I did was just took his fingers and I just super glued them together to make the Krakoan space breathing apparatus.
Right. And are you looking for like a bubble piece for the top?
No, not necessarily. No, I want to rotate the head around.
Right.
Yeah.
It is super cool.
I'll just use my imagination for his bubble.
Use your imagination. How dare you? What kind of action figure fan uses their imagination? That's really cool. That's super cool. Well, guys, it's been a slice. It's late at night. I know that everyone needs to get some sleep, so we can call it a night. Chris, anything else you want to throw out there before we say goodbye?
No, I think we're good.
I'm good with that too. All right, excellent.
Peace.
Have a wonderful night. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope everyone's good and you have a wonderful week. And we'll see you next time on Previous to X-Men when we cover the last issue of the Claremont Byrne Austin era with issue 143 of Uncanny next Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Click like, subscribe, tell everyone you know. This is what everyone should be doing on a Tuesday night, not just us four.
all the cool guys.
All the cool guys. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Peace out.
See you later, X-Friends.
Bye-bye.
Are we still on?